Hi, everybody. This is David Nevins for CityBiz, and welcome to our program today. And today we have a special guest, and he is Dr. Sameek Roychowdhury. He is the head of Gateway for Cancer Research Scientific Peer Review Committee. Dr. Roychowdhury, how are you? Welcome to our program today.
Hey, thank you so much. It's my pleasure to be here.
Well, thank you. Tell us a little bit about yourself and take us up to your role with the Gateway for Cancer Research.
Definitely. I am a medical oncologist, trained in both research and medical oncology. So I'm a physician scientist. So we do research and we try to turn that into novel ways to personalize cancer treatment. So I'm a professor at Ohio State University at our Comprehensive Cancer Center and James Cancer Hospital. About maybe 5 to 7 years ago, I was asked to review some grants with Gateway for Cancer Research, and eventually they asked me to take a position in leading their reviews.
And let me assure our audience, first of all, there's not going to be an exam based on the whiteboard behind you at the end of this conversation, right?
No quizzes.
So, Dr. Roychowdhury, let me ask you this. Tell us a little bit about Gateway for Cancer Research. I know some in our audience are familiar with them. I've interviewed a couple of your colleagues there, but many are not. I know they're doing really good and important work. Please share some of those details with us.
So Gateway for Cancer Research funds new clinical trials to find new and better ways to diagnose and treat cancer. And while we do have a large pharmaceutical industry developing drugs and doing R&D, they often sort of focus on the big markets of cancer drug development. And sometimes there are populations of patients who kind of fall between the big market interests. And so thankfully, we have investigators who are oncologists doing research, developing trials across the country, and they partner with Gateway for Cancer Research to fund some of these ideas that might not otherwise happen because it's just sort of falling through the cracks when it comes to industry investments. And so Gateway has filled this niche and an important niche to bring new therapies to patients. And I've always been attracted to Gateway's model. I know the chairman who founded Gateway always talks about that the fact that it's always and only about the patient. And so that phrase is always in my mind when I think about a clinical trial that I'm working on, but especially when a clinical trial idea is brought to Gateway to be considered for funding. That's where our peer review committee comes in to say, hey, is this up to it? Is this good enough science? Is this going to make an impact? And does it meet that mantra? It's always and only about the patient.
Yeah, very well put. I mean, I know Gateway has funded scores of what have turned out to be really groundbreaking research that will benefit patients for many years to come. So kudos in your role there. What's the purpose of the peer review process? How does that work?
So for this foundation, we might receive a couple hundred letters of intent, so ideas coming from across the country for new cancer clinical trials. And so a small committee will kind of vet that letter of interest, and only a fraction of those will go on to a full grant. And so these are grants anywhere from 200 to 200,000 to $1 million to fund a clinical trial for a new way to treat cancer. And the job of this committee, which includes a standing committee of reviewers with industry experience, pharmaceutical experience, oncology experience, as well as experts that we pick from across the country to really put these through the grinder. We want to fund only the best ideas that have both innovation and a chance to improve the lives of patients. And at the end of the day, I always think about, again, it's always and only about the patient, but I'm also looking for a wow factor. And so we want to make sure we're making a big leap forward for these cancer research ideas because these dollars have to go a long way. And we're so grateful for the funding that is available to fund these new clinical trials.
Let me ask you this question. I'm guessing with pretty good history here that on our podcast here, which goes across the country, but primarily up and down the East Coast to business and civic leaders and so forth, that there are many more people watching who are potential donors, far more than there are doctors and scientists who might be interested in submitting proposals to your committee. So what do you say? What would you say to a potential donor who's really unsure about the need to fund early stage research and the importance of doing so?
Well, we all know someone in our lives, and maybe more than one someone who's been affected by cancer. Maybe they had chemotherapy, maybe they had an immunotherapy, and it didn't work. And it's a terrible experience for that patient, for that family. And when that happens, many of us look at that as an opportunity to say, hey, I don't want to ever see someone go through that ever again. And so supporting research, such as the research at Gateway for Cancer Research, can help bring new ideas to diagnose and treat cancer in a new way. To give you an example of a clinical trial that we are a part of, we started a study for pancreas cancer. It's very difficult to treat cancer, and right now we only have chemotherapy that's approved for that. And so, with support from Gateway, as well as a company that sponsors the drug, we've been able to open a trial, and we did this in a kind of novel way. This is a trial that opened not only at Ohio State University in Columbus, Ohio, but this is the first completely decentralized nationwide trial that can reach patients in any state and any zip code across the country. And we're just one location, right? And so we reduce the cost of doing this type of clinical research to offer a novel therapy for pancreas cancer. And we have reach that goes everywhere. So whether you're someone who lives on the East Coast or on the West Coast or in Texas, you can support Gateway with a clinical trial that has nationwide reach. It can affect anyone and everyone you know if they need that type of clinical trial. And so I know that Gateway as a group are very excited about these nationwide decentralized trials, and we're encouraging more investigators to bring these types of trials forward simply because it's a cheaper, faster way to develop trials, and it extends our reach. So the impact of a dollar donated to Gateway can impact everyone in the country potentially.
And why Gateway? Let me just ask you that. I know you alluded to this earlier. A lot of people are of the view that the pharmaceutical companies or the universities or other organizations have the funding to do this, but that is not so much the case, right? Particularly among these early stage research opportunities. Could you speak to that about a little bit about the importance of funding early stage research and what it brings us?
So if you look at the way cancer research has been supported over the past 30 years, the number of dollars being invested in these research approaches, whether it's laboratory research, clinical trial research, has gone down. So dollar for dollar, inflation adjusted, we have fewer dollars. And there are so many good ideas that are out there that are just not being supported. And so we have opportunities and the worst case is maybe we do a review and we have a really good idea and it's the last idea on the grant review list and we just don't have the dollars to support it, whether it's at the NIH or a foundation or Gateway. So we all know as academic researchers, scientists, that there are ideas that are just not moving forward. And the funding landscape is getting worse. We have fewer dollars available. So that's where foundations really come in to fill an unmet need and a gap, and especially for clinical trials. So there's not a foundation like Gateway that really focuses on early clinical trials for novel therapies for patients in need. That just doesn't exist. Most foundations have sort of a different priority in terms of more basic research. This is clinical research with a trial and a therapy that involves patients. And so for me, being part of Gateway, I know that every time I'm, a part of our grant review and seeing these concepts funded, I get to uh, take a moment to appreciate that this is going to help people, real people everywhere in the country.
Yeah, no, it's really great. And I've become familiar with Gateway for Cancer Research maybe in the last year or so. And I know that, the work of the organization has been truly outstanding and so much of it groundbreaking as well. How does someone learn more about Gateway? Who do they reach out to?
The Gateway for Cancer Research website has a lot of great information about the types of trials that have been supported, how you can get involved, and if anyone's interested, we'd be happy to have a chat with them. I'm personally available to chat with you about the impact that Gateway is having. If you're interested in supporting Gateway, we can talk to you about how you can get involved. And again, I get to see these trials affect real patients every day. You know, the trial that we're involved with for pancreatic cancer, just this past week, we've been able to reach a patient in Texas, and we've been able to reach a patient in Idaho. And we're in Columbus, Ohio, with a research discovery made here that can have nationwide reach to any zip code, any state. And that's really because of Gateway's support that we're able to do that.
Yeah, again, truly outstanding. And Doctor, thank you so much for your time. And more importantly, thank you for your work.
Thank you.
This is David Nevins for City Biz, and our guest today has been Dr. Sameek Roychowdhury. Either reach out to him or reach out to Gateway for Cancer Research, gatewaycr.org. And I think you'll be glad you did. Truly an organization doing outstanding work for our community. Again, Doctor, thank you. And again, thank you for watching.